Guys, what's up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rise. We're back here at Tasca Buick GMC in Palm Harbor, and I have something new for you for 2026. It's this vehicle right here. This is a 2026 GMC Sierra EV. This is the all-new entry trim known as the Elevation. But before we get into this electrified full-size truck, let's talk about what's going on here. So no other brand has more electrified trucks and SUVs than GMC. And they're building upon what they promised with bringing different trims. It started off with the Sierra EV Denali. Now for 2026, you can get a entry-level Elevation or even the off-road spec AT4. One thing is for certain, electrification is changing within the auto industry. And what I mean by that is the amount of people wanting to go in that direction, but also the technology, because now for 2026, you have your standard range, which has been approved. You have your extended range, which has been improved, but you also have a new max range. But what I want to find out is the Elevation the best value for your money? Why don't we go ahead, let's dive into this one and see if we can find out. Right off the bat, I know on your screen it probably looks gray, maybe even it looks black. This is actually called Deep Ocean Metallic, and because there's an overcast, it appears to be darker. In the sun, this actually has a nice metal flake to it, and it's sort of like a bluish gray color. Now on the Sierra EV Elevation, you still are gonna get that very unique LED daytime running lamp and turn signal. You got more exterior lighting. And then working your way down, you'll notice down below, this is where you're gonna find your LED headlights. Now, the zonk for the Elevation is that everything is blocked off. So there's no functional air curtain, there's no LED fog lamps. But like I said, this is a value priced trim level. This is the base Elevation. There is gonna be no trim lower than this. But let me know what you think about the face so far. Like I said, lots of gloss black around that headlight housing. Now, as we come across the front nose, you have that GMC badge very prominently displayed with the red and the silver. I do like the way they try to create a grill-like experience with the way that they do the design rather than just doing straight up flat gloss black appearance. And then working our way down, here's where you're gonna find your functionality with these vertical slots. You do get a forward-facing camera. And then you'll notice how they angle that lower bumper area to give you a little bit more ground clearance. But let me know what you think about the face of this Elevation trim. Now, as we rise up, styling very GMC-esque. Everything that kind of squared off design, nice indentations on the hood. When we come around the bend, what are we working with? Wheel and tire step. So when you go Elevation, here is what you're getting. This is an 18-inch wheel. Tires are gonna be 265 on the width, 70 series sidewall, and we do have two electric motors. Motor up front to power the front wheels, motor out back to power the rear wheels, which gives us that all-wheel drive. Flat black around the fender openings, I'm okay with that, especially because this is a base trim. And I do like the wheel design. The gloss black with the machined aluminum looks really great. Now coming down the side of the vehicle, you do have gloss black on the mirror caps. Base Elevation trim does get 360-degree cameras. I like the Sierra EV badge. And you do get the stationary running boards that run along the bottom of the vehicle. Now from the side, this is still gonna have the same overall proportions as any Sierra EV. Coming towards the rear, I'm okay with the flat black rather than the gloss black, looks fine. You do get that extended cab spoiler. As Steven kind of swings around, he could show you how that cab spoiler extends off the back. And then working our way towards the rear, like I said, the black flack around, the flat black, talk about tongue-tied, around the fender openings. You're gonna get your traditional GMC corner steps, all of that LED lighting on an Elevation. There's the Elevation trim, and that's what your Sierra EV Elevation looks like from the back. Now working our way down, some gloss black on the bumper, nothing too crazy, mixed with flat black. You get your full tow hookup, all your plug-in, and then you're even getting the multi-flex tailgate. So of course you can lower it down, and then you have your step. Nice to see that on the base trim, and then a good size rear bed area. You do have LED bed lights, and let me reach in here. There you do, you have your home power source. So nice to see that on an Elevation as well. And then remember, this is real simple. Just boop, 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 and we're done. But why don't we go ahead, let's pop the hood and see if there's storage underneath to make it a front mounted trunk. Let's go check it out. All right, guys, time to get underneath the hood. Real simple, we're just gonna use the key fob, hit it twice, get a little bit of a chime, and there she goes. Open sesame, ah. So you're gonna get that full storage capacity up front. It's 11 cubic feet of space. It's fully weatherproof, so you don't have to worry about anything getting wet. You do have your home power source, but what is actually powering this particular Sierra EV Elevation? You have those two electric motors, 645 horsepower, using a 220 kilowatt lithium ion battery pack. This is standard range. So 0 to 60 in 4.1 seconds. Range is 283 miles, but the great news is on a DC fast charger, you could charge from 10 to 100 miles in just 10 minutes. And you could tow up to 12,500 pounds with this vehicle. Now, of course, to close the mouth, we're just gonna hit the button again. You gotta tap it twice. Give it a little tap, tap, taparoo. And there we are, ready to rock and roll. But why don't we turn it on and see this Sierra EV move. All right, guys, we are inside this all-new 2026 Sierra EV Elevation trim. I know you're saying to yourself, well, Joe, I've been wanting an electric truck, but the prices have been just stupid. How much is this one? Well, very good question. MSRP for this particular one is $64,000. A far cry from the $103,000 of the Denali trim. Big difference. But let's see what you get for the money. To the door panels. I like the soft touch. I like the silver trim. You do get some cloth, so that's where they're kind of making this a little bit more of a value price, is by bringing the cloth. Not my favorite, but I've seen worse, so it's not too bad. White contrast stitching on the nicely padded armrest. Even the way they did that perforation in the middle looks good. And then you're gonna get a nice large door pocket where you could easily get your 6-inch cold cut trio, 2 macadamia nut cookies, and 2 Fanta sodas to wash it down. Now, going from the door panel to the dash, love the way you have the nice silver on the AC vents. Soft touch, not a big fan of the cloth. But hey, we gotta bring the value somewhere when it comes to pricing. Now, you do have your grape hammock over here. You could get some grapes and pop them in there. And then slide on in, you have that 16.8 infotainment system. Nice large screen. Obviously, your Google Maps, the full Google suite of all the different goodies. Cameras, face down, top down, all around. So they got you covered, and the camera quality is really good. You even have your drive modes. So there's your assortment. Of course, you could go into my mode, 1-pedal operation, regen braking, all those goodies. You do have a real volume knob, and you get 3 stages of heated seats. No ventilated seats on the Elevation trim. I love the way they did this faux carbon fiber. It actually looks pretty good in here with the perforation, soft touch. Toggle switches for the dual climate, which is nice. And then watch this. Slide, you got a little tray for your phone, but then you can slide it open. You have a 12-volt, 2 USB-Cs, and you could put a 1-pound bag of Skittles in there, 2 cup holders, but look, you slide it, and now you have tons of space for a couple boxes of Twinkies. So they got you covered on storage space for the snacks. That's really good. Soft touch, the stitching, open sesame, a USB-C, and you have enough room in here to put Wilson from the movie Castaway. I don't know if you heard, it sold at an auction for $100,000, one of the actual Wilsons from the movie Castaway. Steven loves the movie Castaway. He actually wants to be left on an island because he's just fed up with everything. So we'll see if that happens for him. Seats, the soft touch, a little bit of cloth around there. The piping and the stitching is great. Manual adjustments for the passenger, but I do have full electric controls because I'm the driver, and this is the elevation trim, no sunroof. But why don't you come over here to the business end? I want to show you behind the wheel in this Sierra EV Elevation. All right, guys, business time behind the wheel. Like I said, you do have power seat controls for the driver's side. Easy to get to. Seats are very comfortable. I love the seats in this truck. Lots of room, even more room than a regular internal combustion engine Sierra because the floor is lower. Steering wheel, the leather, flat black on the switchgear. It is a heated steering wheel. Got that nice GMC badge. This paddle is to actually, you could brake with this paddle instead of actually braking with the brake pedal with your foot. You do have your electric column shifter, and this is a manual tilting and telescoping steering wheel. And then you got that 11-inch digital gauge cluster with a plethora of screen readout, which is great. So you could do even minimal. Like if you're stressed with all the information you get in this world, you can go nice and minimalistic. Or you could bring it all out, whatever you want. But nice clean display. Let's get in the back seat and see what the elevation trim brings for your passengers in the Sierra EV. All right, guys, backseat time. And like I was saying up front, because this is an electrified vehicle, you can see how low the floor is. No need for a drive shaft tunnel or anything like that. You do have pockets behind here. You could put 2 Annie's Ann's pretzels, but remember it is cloth. You got a nice little single Twinkie holder right there. You just slide your Twinkie right in the slot. You have your AC vents, a home power source, 2 USB-Cs, and down below you could put 2 Sprinkles cupcakes. If you ever get a chance to have a Sprinkles cupcake, they're actually pretty damn good. I had a peanut butter fudge one. Oh my God, ridiculous. What else is ridiculous is the amount of room back here. Very comfortable on the seating, and you don't have a center armrest, which is kind of sad. But you can lift these seats up and put bigger things, and there's a little bit of storage underneath, which is nice. Fill that up with some cupcakes. But hey, Cupcake, if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's go on throttle and see how this Sierra EV Elevation gets down the road. All right, guys, we left Tasca Buick GMC in Palm Harbor. We're in this 2026 Sierra EV Elevation. And right away, it's quiet on this interior. They do a great job with the sound editing material in their EV Sierras. But let's go on throttle, shall we? On throttle, here we go. Now, you definitely don't have as much power as the extended range or the max range, but still 0 to 60 in 4.1 seconds. I think that's plenty. And you have a 283 mile range with the standard battery. Of course, if you want more range, you can get one of the other battery packs. Getting to that massive infotainment system is well within reach. I love the 11-inch digital gauge cluster, just large enough and great visibility through the steering wheel, the colors, the fonts, all that goodness. And then the seats. The seats are super comfortable, very supportive. And this really has that GMC truck feel, but yet it also looks like a truck, but it looks like a modern special truck. Whereas the Lightning kind of looks a little too much like an F-150, and the Silverado EV looks a little too futuristic. This really has a nice blend between the two. But crazy to think that we're talking about $40,000 cheaper than a Denali. Quite a difference. Like I said, you could use that paddle on the back of the wheel to literally brake the vehicle, to bring it to a stop, a complete stop if you wanted to. And then you also do have the one pedal operation that you could turn on or off. I have it off right now. Great visibility out the back, great visibility out the front. Side mirrors are a good size. You got all the safety features, of course. It's really smooth, very quiet in here, which I think you're gonna like after a freaking hard day at work, that's for sure. But it's easy to navigate with, it's easy to drive in traffic, and it's got that instant electrified punch that lets you get out of your own way, but also other people's ways as well. But really good driving dynamics. You know, your center of gravity is lower in these electrified vehicles, especially this truck, and it really does handle super duper well. But let's go on throttle uphill, shall we? On throttle, here we go. Nice. You really get going. You look down the speedometer, you're like, whoa. So definitely be careful with that. But having the instant torque, the all-wheel drive from the twin motors, and I like the way you get a little bit of Tron cycle sound. I think that's the best way to describe it. If you haven't seen the movie Tron, you need to make it a blockbuster night. Remember those days? And make it the Tron original movie, not Tron Legacy or whatever other different Trons they have out there. It's really just a nice, comfortable, easy to drive truck. Brakes work great. You're not getting a bunch of nosedive, a bunch of body roll, which is wonderful. And the fact that there's very little gloss black in here is very welcoming. There's so many vehicles that have all this gloss black. It's nice to have a vehicle that doesn't have so much gloss black. But let's go on throttle. You ready? One more time. On throttle. Nice. Really smooth. And with the DC fast charger, 100 miles in 10 minutes, that's pretty quick. But I'm hoping that this has been a good, quick, electrifying review of this Sierra EV Elevation trim. We're gonna get back to Tasca Buick GMC and wrap this one up. So I'll see you in a split second. All right, guys, been another crazy kind of day here at Tasca Buick GMC Palm Harbor. Definitely got to thank Dean and the rest of the crew getting us their very first 2026 Elevation trim of the Sierra EV. Let me know what you think for the price. Is it worth it at the end of the day? And would you go this route? Let me know in that comment section. But if you're new to the channel, you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Raised Reds family. Gotta give it to Stephen Flood. He is just living life one day at a time, and you know what? He rolls with the punches. But boy, oh boy, I've never seen somebody get punched as much as Stephen. But he keeps a smile and a nice little glint of joy in his eyes. So thank you, Stephen, for taking the hits. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.